Okay, this is 97, and it says, find the area of the shaded region, evaluate the integral on your calculator. So what I'm claiming over here is I'm looking at this, and I do want to, talk about, I know graphing is difficult, and I also find it difficult to deal with, but we're graphing this out. So what am I really doing? If you were doing a table of this thing, your table would be, you'd have an R and theta in it. What you put down first doesn't matter to me, by the way. But I don't know, I'll put R here, theta there. And certainly if you had theta, you'd be at 0. So I'm right over here. And then what I notice is when you start moving through the thetas, right? So what's going to happen, the sine starts at 0, and then it's gonna start to whip around now. And what I mean by that, the angles are getting bigger, and the R's are getting bigger. All right, now why is that? As soon as I hit pi over 2, that's the angle, by the way. So let me put this over here. I go through a bunch of angles, and I hit pi over 2 eventually. So what are you going to get there? Well, the sine of pi over 2 is 1, so you can get pi over 2. All right? So I'm going to say kind of whips around like this over here. All right? Now, as I keep moving, what's going to happen is there is going to be a struggle between this, but the angles are going up, but it kind of whips its way back down now to when it gets to pi, because when it gets to pi, the sine's back down to 0. All right, so I'm going to say, I can follow this along now. I can see what's happening over here. The thing goes like this over here, and then what happens? I'm starting to see it now. So I'm going to say it goes like this. I'm kind of following it around, right? Like here's pi over 2. Then I eventually get there. It's at pi, and then it starts doing this over here. And by the way, it's going to keep going. But the question is, what is this over here? That's one other thing of it. That's going to be, it's going to get back down over here at 2 pi. Right, here comes the trouble now. They want the area outside that small thing in the big one. Right, so what I'm going to do is talk about how to set the integral up. All right, so it's going to be 1/2, this is what you learn in Math 120 or pre-calculus, theta r squared. So really what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking at arcs. And to do that, like if I looked at the big one, I'm going to say it would look like this over here. Right, that's an arc, by the way. All right, so I'd see a theta. So what I do is I'm going to do the big circle first. It's not a circle, but it looks like a circle. And that's going to be, it starts at pi, and it goes to 2 pi. This is the big guy. We'll take away the little guy later. And then it's going to be 1/2. Well, it's going to be the r squared. What's the r squared? It's going to be theta. This is the r squared. I'm looking at this up here. Theta sine theta quantity squared, and then d theta. All right? So 1/2 r squared theta. Theta is a d theta. Now let's take away the small guy. Minus. Well, the small guy, remember, it was from 0 to pi. And what's that going to be? 1/2, again, the r squared, which is theta sine theta square d theta. Okay, I want to show you where this is in the notes, by the way. It's right over here. All right, I just did that part over there. Again, I looked at the picture, tried to make sense out of it. I'm glad they gave me a picture, by the way. It makes it easier for me to do the problem. And however, they're saying you could use a calculator. You could also use a calculator to generate the picture if you want. And I think I did okay there. Let's see, pi to 2 pi, 1/2. I do see that. And I see the 0 to pi. Yep, I see that. And they say it's okay to use a calculator. All right? That, it says integral on your calculator right over here. So I would use a calculator. However, I will point this out. You don't need a calculator to do it. You could actually do it, but it's a lot of work. All right? But you'll get that number over there. But if you do use a calculator, you should get this number over here. It's really not that bad to use a calculator to do that. Learn how to use a calculator. Now, when I say that, the calculator I'm actually using a product called Sage. It's open source software that allows me to do computations. Thank you.